Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Situational Awareness Matters, real talk with real people. Today, we have some real hot topics ahead of us. We'll be taking a deep dive into disease zero and what does it mean for the entire population of our planet Earth. We're talking about Biden's comments about ordering an airstrike on Texas and the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878. We're also going to cover Chinese labs and the Fed's comments about no laws being broken there. All right. Uvalde convening a grand jury to indict cops. This is sure to tickle the fancy of all our LEO friends out there. Yeah. We're going to talk about the current state of affairs. And we're also going to talk about, if we have time and no one has a heart attack on the show, shit going on in the good old US of A. All right. I'm your host, Lee Schwartzberg, and joining me as always are my esteemed guests, co-hosts, Rennie Archambault and Chet Babcock. Good morning, gents.
Good morning.
All right.
Good morning, Melissa. I see you're up on the...
Oh, I can't thank you because my screen is shot. I appreciate that. Good morning, everyone else. Before we get started with the ruckus we're about to start, I want to take a look at the banner on the bottom, the scrolling banner, to call in the show. The number is 508-974-4231. You can call in live and we can answer your questions live.
Yeah,
all right. Pardon me. Gents, let's get started.
Go ahead, Rennie. Fire it up, buddy.
Oh, yeah, no, you. Good morning, Melissa. Rennie.
Oh, you really want me to start this off? Okay. Yep. Like I said,
I need my blood pressure up a little bit right now.
Put on your seatbelts. You're going to need them. Mr. Producer, I got to lay the groundwork for what I'm going to say. So could you kindly cue up number one that I sent you, please?
Rennie, take a deep breath.
That ain't going to help. I need somebody sitting behind me holding me down. I wish my chair had seatbelts on it. That is no amount of lies can hide this man's failure. That is the utter truth. He's a failure from the word go. He was a failure from the day he came out of his mother's uterus or whatever. If he was even born. I think he was a test tube baby. But anyway, Mr. Producer, could you cue up number two, please? And play it. Now, this is Joe Biden.
Or maybe not. Where are you?
Oh, there's no video with it. Oh, well, anyway.
Audio.
Joe Biden's caught on a hot mic saying that he should send some F-18s to Texas to deal with the issue that's going on down there. Now, here's a president advocating attacking Americans on U.S. soils. So,
hey, Rennie, just to add a little bit of clarity to that, I checked last night, and apparently all the fact checkers are saying that was somebody that just sounds like Joe Biden.
I saw that.
Okay. Yeah. So, I saw that. You know what? When I fought, it probably sounds just like your fight. So, yeah. But they're English, nonetheless, they're indistinguishable. Okay. So, right. I don't believe that for a second.
No.
That was Joe Biden's voice on that tape. Mr. Producer, could you cue up number three, please? So, John Kerry had a meltdown the other day over a reporter about a stupid question. So, I did a deep dive into climate change. I spent several hours doing it, and I found a bunch of data, and I found this chart. And if you look at it, it goes back 10,000 years. The temperature of the Earth has only risen 5 degrees Celsius in 10,000 years. So the climate change agenda that Joe Biden and the Democrats are pushing just is total fucking bullshit. It's for politics and it's for money. Okay? No other reason. We had nothing to do. Industrialization wasn't around 10,000 years ago, 8,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. All right? It's all bullshit and it's all lies. Mr. Producer, the last one, please.
I think the software needs some Red Bull.
I think so. Well, it is cold. It is Sunday morning. So
Yeah. Oh, I need some Red Bull. All right. Anyway. Okay, Rennie.
It's not playing.
There it is.
This is truth.
What is that?
it's a dog.
You know, there's been zero evidence. Zero evidence. You can ask me, how can I mean, Obama be the hidden puppet master for this administration? But there's no evidence. There's no evidence. There's no evidence that Obama is Joe's puppet master. There's none. Absolutely none. None. And that is just a fact. You can't say that it looks like my hair is the dirty mop the janitor is looking for. You can't say that it looks like I lazily slapped on some of Big Mike's lipstick and horrific eyeshadow. Don't even look that close. That's a waste of time.
I love that clip, actually. That's kind of funny.
You know, there's been zero evidence.
Right. Thank you, Mr.
Zero.
Producer.
So when
That-
John Tractor started making toilet brushes, but in reference to that picture.
Yeah.
There's a
So
green
that
and
lays my groundwork for what I gotta say, because I'm steamed and I'm pissed off over what happened in Iraq last night and this morning. Did you vote for Joe Biden? Because if you did, you're the enemy. That's number one. Number two, you're weak and you have no backbone if you voted for Joe Biden. Number three, 10 years ago, to be a transgender, it was a mental fucking illness. Democrats have weaseled their way in to the world, and Democrats are an infection. Democrats are a weakness. Everything wrong with the world is because of Joe Biden and the Democrats. But the best thing is the world is not buying the fucking bullshit that Joe Biden and the Democrats are peddling. Democrats are saying chicks have dicks. Well, the fucking world is saying there are two genders. Okay.
Good morning, Jeff. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you.
And I don't want my grandchildren going to school being taught who they can fucking school, what their sexual preferences should be. And Joe Biden and the Democrats are the fucking enemy. Period. End of story. I don't give a fuck who you are, who you want to fuck, what you want to do with your life. But don't tell kids about it. And finally, don't teach this fucking shit in schools. Don't push your agenda on me. And don't brainwash people. And finally, don't be a fucking pussy and go around the fucking parents. All right? That's my message to Joe Biden and the fucking Democrats for the day.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I got one question, Rennie. Rennie,
Go ahead.
how do you really feel about that? I wasn't sure.
You really feel, yeah.
I got a headache.
All right. Got you, bro. All right, take a deep breath, man. Take a deep breath. Okay, so we know how you feel about that, and you know we're all through on the same page. Just sometimes not as colorful or colloquial as you, but we all feel the same way. Let's change gears here for just a heartbeat. And Rennie, I know, and Chet, I know you got a lot to say about this as well. Let's talk about this brand new, all I can say is bullshit, Disease Zero, right?
Disease X.
Disease X, Disease Zero.
Yeah.
The killer, right? From what I understand, they've actually mapped out human genomes in mice and they have 100% kill rate in the mice and the human genome. Now, the thing I read last night was, and it was very, very vague and ambiguous, was that Great Britain, England, whatever the hell you want to call them right now, they're the only ones trying to find a cure for this. And they were very vague about it. So, Chet, let me hear your thoughts on this real quick. And then, Randy, take a deep breath.
Yeah, apparently they're already developing a vaccine for a disease that doesn't exist yet. So, and nobody really knows exactly what this is or what it's going to entail, other than it has a 100% mortality rate. And apparently they determined that by testing it in humanized mice. I guess that's a laboratory procedure in which they give mice the characteristics of human organs, which, by the way, apparently a lab was found in California with a bunch of these humanized mice in it. It was an illegal lab, something that the Chinese are probably doing again. So they're already setting up the preface for election interference again with some disease that's going to lock everybody down. But the other issue is that it's 100% mortality rate, so that's really going to scare everybody. So I'm not sure if it's just fear factor or what's going on with that.
Randy?
Well, let me say that I have from credible sources that this is all part of Fauci's gain of function program that he was running out of China. China's taken it and perfected it, and they're about to release it on the world. It's coming. Make no mistake about it. COVID was like 1 to 2% infection rate, 1 to 2% mortality rate. This is supposed to be 100%. Right now, there's a new strain of COVID going around. I was reading yesterday, and Kentucky and New Hampshire are currently leading the nation in
Was it 5-6%, right?
death rates. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting that it's in Kentucky, New Hampshire, right?
Yeah.
How does that fall in the election cycle? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm confused, as per the usual, because I don't understand any of this shit. Why the fuck would you why would you do that, right? Why would you create something that has a 100% mortality rate with no known cure? Oh, wait, I know. Population control, right?
Yeah, we're going to cover that when we get into the WEF here in a little bit. There's a reason for all of this stupid shit. They're connected to Biden and a whole bunch of stuff. And that's why I kind of want to jump into that later.
All right, let's hold that thought for a second, and we'll get to that in a minute, okay?
Morning, Jeff Betterini. How are you, brother?
I said Jeff is in the house. All right, so well, you know what? Let's jump right into this. Whether or not it doesn't matter, regardless whether or not it was Biden's voice or not Biden's voice. Who gives a shit, right? The thought is, let me read this verbatim here. It says, ordering an airstrike on Texas because they're not complying with the border rules and regulations, right? So the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, and I'm reading this verbatim, is it removed the military from regular civil law enforcement, was enacted in response to the abuses resulting from the extensive use of the Army in law enforcement in the Civil War and the Reconstruction, right? Now, the part I want to get to about the Posse Comitatus is the express statutory exceptions include legislation that allows the president to use military force to suppress an insurrection or to enforce federal authority, and the laws that permit the DOD to provide federal, state, and local police, blah, 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 right? So it doesn't have to be an insurrection or an uprising. It says specifically to enforce federal authority. So, gents, your thoughts on that statement of the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878? Ronnie?
Can I turn the clock back to last week?
Sure.
When I challenged everybody, callers, you guys. That's provided that we have a constitution. Name me 5 fucking Democrats that believe in the U.S. Constitution that don't think it's a worthless piece of paper.
You still owe me 2 lobsters from last week.
Nah, you didn't name me 5.
Because there aren't.
There you go. So I'll buy you lobsters. But anyway, my point being is, without any constitution, the Party Posse Comitatus Act is
Useless.
useless.
Well, the Constitution hasn't been suspended yet, and I say yet, right? So right now, let's talk about what we're dealing with in the present, not what we surmise could happen in the future, right? So, what are your thoughts on that statement about? And I'll read it again. To enforce federal authority and laws that permit the DoD to provide federal, state, and local police.
Yeah, when just after Biden got elected, he's already said that what was it, something to the effect of, if you're gonna challenge the government, you better have F-15s and atomic weapons.
Yeah, yep. He said that in the beginning.
So he's already made that threat. I mean, of course, it can't be enforced, and I have a serious doubt that any members of the military would actually follow that order, because they can refuse to follow an illegal order. Yeah, when it goes against the Constitution, that definitely would be.
Right, that's dicey.
Fact or not.
Yeah, it's very dicey, because that comes from, and having served in the Marines for a little over 10 years, that it's very dicey there. That comes from the upper echelon of command, right? Your brigadier general, your flag staff officers, and then your regimental, and then, blah, 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 right? But that comes down to, are they going to, what are they going to do when it comes to following a direct order? It's the masses that we need to be concerned with.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But on those same lines, though, you would think that what happened in Afghanistan was not illegal, it was tactically unsound, and the entire command staff just rolled over on that. And Biden said, we got to get out by September 11th, because I want to, do the whole dog and pony show and say that I ended the war in Afghanistan 20 years ago. So you guys got to be out of there by now. And as a result, thousands of people have died. Afghanistan's a total dumpster fire right now. And people.
What about the hundreds of millions of dollars of equipment?
Hundreds of millions of dollars of equipment. Yep, that's being used against
us.
U.S. forces and coalition forces and allies right now, being sold on the black market for millions of dollars after that dumb motherfucker worked out a hostage exchange deal for a basketball player versus the most prolific arms dealer the world has ever seen.
Ever known, yeah.
And, so now he's back out there with a virtual candy store of shit that's going everywhere, because Joe Biden said, I want to look good on September 11th and say, I stopped the Afghan war, got us out of Afghanistan. Fuck that.
Hey, Lee, quick question.
Yeah.
How many laws has Joe Biden and his family broken in the last 3 years?
I don't have an exact count, but I'm going to say a whole metric shit ton.
Yeah. Okay. And has he been held accountable?
No. Absolutely not. I mean, that's another subject we can broach about, perhaps maybe next week, because there's a lot of political bullshit going on about that, but I don't want to get distracted from what we're trying to do here today.
Apparently Blaze has a video he wants to play, and he's challenged me on the lobsters. So you want to see what he's got?
Yeah,
let's do it.
Roll it.
And then we can go into WEF.
Yeah.
Blaze, you're up, brother.
The Middle East is getting hotter than it already is. The United States and British military struck back against the Houthis with over 150 strikes from F-18 fighter jets and Tomahawk cruise missiles. We'll see. The way it played out is a perfect case study in how the US military escalation of force works, both diplomatically and militarily. We'll also learn about the Houthis' actual motivations behind the attacks in the Red Sea that have stopped 20% of the total trade there so far. I also want to try to examine the evidence to see if these type of strikes will be enough to stop the Houthis in the future. I'm your average infantryman, Chris Cappy. Slap the like and subscribe button, Spare Parts Army, and let's find out. Take a look at the Maersk Hangzhou. It's a Singapore-flagged container ship that can carry 15,000 20-foot containers. The Hangzhou was sailing in the Gulf of Aden when it was attacked by Houthi missile strikes launched from the coast of Yemen on December 30th, 2023. One of the missiles slammed into the ship at around 8:30 that night. The Hangzhou instantly put out a distress call to nearby naval assets to assist them, but they weren't sailing through dangerous waters completely unprepared. They weren't out to water with their pants down around their ankles. That would just be plain silly. They had the foresight to hire a private security team with small arms on board their ship who would soon be put to the test. Because a few hours later, at 3:30 in the morning, on New Year's Eve, December 31st, the Houthis sent 4 small boats with mounted machine guns to close in on the ship and attempt to hijack it. They got within 20 meters of the Hangzhou and fired small arm rounds at the boat. They even tried to climb on board. Hey man, what'd you do for New Year's Eve? Not much, watched the ball drop, had a few cold ones, tried to hijack a 100,000-ton container ship. U.S. Navy Arleigh Burke-class destroyers answered the distress call and quickly sailed to the scene. They intercepted 2 anti-ship missiles fired by the Houthis. These ships are part of what's called Operation Prosperity Guardian, specifically designed to stop these kinds of attacks. Then, helicopters from the USS Eisenhower aircraft carrier took off to interdict the would-be hijackers. This was likely the 6 Sikorsky SH-60 Seahawks. They're typically armed with machine guns and AGM Hellfire missiles and torpedoes. Perfect for this kind of mission. I mean, really just chef's kiss to the distributed kill chain. The US Navy helicopters returned fire on the Houthi boats, destroying 3 of them, while the 4th one broke off and retreated according to CENTCOM. 1 star, US Navy destroyed us, would not pirate again. But you know why they probably let that 4th boat get away? So they could go back and warn their friends. Now let's look at the fallout from this. You could actually look at this as a win from the both perspective of the US Navy and the Houthis. Because yes, the Navy did smoke them Houthis, but on the other hand, this attack caused the major shipping company Maersk to announce that they were pausing all Red Sea transits until further notice. This is exactly what the Houthis were hoping for strategically. The Houthi piracy, terrorist attacks, blockade, whatever you'd like to call it, has forced 2,000 some odd civilian ships to take the long way around the Horn of Africa. This adds enormous costs, which are then passed on to us, the consumers. It costs essentially twice as much and weeks added to the trip. What this translates to is about 1 in 5 or 20% of the total ship traffic has been stopped in the Red Sea. But that doesn't tell the whole story. It's the container ships' arrivals that are down 87%, gas tankers are down 30%, and car carriers down 25%. The last time we covered this incident, it was closer to only 200 ships total that had been delayed.
So Shell Oil is one of the ones that has suspended all transportation on products. So that means the price of gas should be going up, and it's not. I just gassed up the other day; it was under $3 a gallon. So I think FJB is actually fucking draining the strategic oil supply, keeping the prices down for the election.
Yeah, yeah, good point.
That's my own personal opinion.
Okay, what's next?
Let's have a moment of silence for just the stupidity that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. I give, Domino's and biscuits to everything that's stupid around here. All right.
Yeah.
I digress, and my heart is heavy with this. Rennie, I feel your pain.
Mm-hmm.
I do. Moving on. Chet.
Maybe this will explain some of all the stupid shit that's happening in the world right now. When I was doing research for this episode, I somehow fell into the World Economic Foundation, WEF, because they're in Davos, Switzerland right now, having their little annual debauchery and get-together. I'm going to read you their mission statement, kind of an explanation of the mission statement first, and then we'll kind of go from there with it. I'll get this up here. Okay, the World Economic Forum is an international non-governmental organization for public-private collaboration based in Cologne, Canton of Geneva, Switzerland. It was founded in 24 January 1971 by the German engineer Klaus Schwab. The foundation's stated mission is improving the state of the world by engaging business, political, academic, and other leaders of society to shape global, regional, and industry agendas. That kind of makes sense, right? Having it's the world economy, kind of having all the business leaders together seems kind of benign. Then you get to the part about the forum programmatically promotes a multi-stakeholder governance model, stating that the world is best managed by a self-selected coalition of multinational corporations, governments, and civil society organizations, CSOs, which it expresses through initiatives like the Great Reset and the Global Redesign. The foundation is
Global redesign.
1,000 member of multinational companies. Okay, it's not so benign anymore. You have a whole shitload of billionaires hanging out in Davos, Switzerland, telling the rest. They think they're going to tell the rest of the world what they can do. They know absolutely nothing about. Yes, go. Yeah.
The billionaires. Are you referring to the Bilderberg conference, or is that another whole nother
thing? I think this is specifically WEF. Okay. Let's see here. Let me refer to my notes again. If you want to do any further research on this, I'd recommend it. It's just this coalition of pretty much Bond villains is what these people are. It's described as a neologism. They're and there's an article. Let's see, where are we here? It's called Davos Man. Neologism of Davos Man. That's what all this group of people is described as for the World Economic Foundation. That's the name of the article. Go do a little bit of research. It kind of explains how they got to this position.
Blaze got the video on Davos.
Okay, let's do it. That's a good one, I think.
Blaze, hit that video.
Please and thank you.
Please.
My biggest takeaway from Davos is that there was incredible optimism. And on some level, that should be a worrying thing. I'll tell you why. Typically, whatever the consensus is at Davos, it usually is wrong. Think back to last year. Everyone was worried about a deep recession in the U.S. That did not happen. It was quite the opposite. But if you talk to any business leaders here, they're looking at increase in sales. They're looking at consumer demand. They're looking at a pretty benign environment with deals coming back in the financial sector. It all was very optimistic. It made me wonder how we can get 6 rate cuts in the U.S. if we're looking at this type of dynamism. And that's certainly the pushback we got from economists as well as officials, central bank presidents, as well as ECB President Lagarde. We're all looking to try to understand just what it would take for central banks to cut rates. The enthusiasm we heard from business leaders wasn't exactly giving us any encouragement on that. There also is a big overhang with respect to the geopolitics. And we really felt that with these armies of police officers parading around trying to protect the foreign ministers and leaders of countries. They're at war with one another who all came to Davos. And there's a real question. Are we priced to perfection in markets at a time where there's so much geopolitical uncertainty that even people here who are deeply entrenched in those discussions do not necessarily see an easy path to some sort of resolution? We heard from Mike Wirth of Chevron, really querying why we're not seeing more of a reaction in oil markets. That's also a big overhang. So just on the basis of the consensus at Davos is usually wrong, makes me think maybe we need to focus a little bit more on some of these tail risks, whether they're not as many rate cuts as expected or geopolitical risks becoming much more front and focused. That, to me, is my big takeaway.
Okay, now an explanation of these
Why
guys.
is no one talking about August 19th, 2000?
No, that's fine. Okay, these guys are all international members. They have their mandate. They have no national loyalties. Okay, they view national boundaries as obstacles to business. Okay, their only purpose of national government is to facilitate global operations. They don't believe in government. Period. It doesn't matter whether it's any kind of government. They're they view themselves as benevolent overlords that need to be in charge of the world. It's the European aristocrat model, that just won't work here. How all this refers to Joe Biden, Rennie, as we were talking earlier, is that they've been described as a tax-exempt NGO, and there's no financial transparency, and it's been described as a family business that runs a money printing machine.
Yeah.
Now, who does that sound like? Now, Biden's not smart enough to come up with his own idea, but then one of his areas of expertise is to plagiarize the shit out of everything, right?
Yeah.
So do you think maybe he's copied the WEF model of money making, or a money making machine run as a family business? Maybe.
Well, if I'm understanding the intricacies of the New World Order, it's the New World Order on the horizon.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, that's kind of what they're after. So you got all these people there that actually think they're running things, and that's what they want, but it won't work here in America. Maybe in Europe, small contained countries, that will never work here, right? I mean, it's impossible. We're
Well,
not
that's what they said about social credit, but it's
well,
here.
but
here.
we, as Americans, we're not built that way, I would think.
No, but there are people pushing that agenda.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Well,
And someday, sooner rather than later, it's going to affect us all. And we can look back on this show and say we said it'll never happen here, but
well,
boy, if we're going to wake up and be surprised. Hey,
I don't disagree with you on that, right? Two things. One, it'll never happen until it does happen, right? That's the first thing. And the second thing is, may I remind you two gentlemen of the Boston Tea Party.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess we got to go to a break.
Okay. Heading towards a break. We shall get some more controversy when we return. Get some. Dun, 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 dun. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Mr. Carter, welcome back. There it is.
All right. Back. So as we were going through the WF again, it's like a weed with all these tendrils in there, okay? This entire group. And for example, John Kerry's there, Al Gore, Bill Gates, all the doom and gloom players that say the world's about to end for climate change or disease or whatever. So they have little meetings and get-togethers to talk about eco-criminalization, right? And about how if you pollute the environment, then you should be arrested as a criminal, and thrown away in a dark hole, and unless you're willing to pay for it,
or
all this other
right, or you're the party polluting it, and you belong to that group.
Well, yeah, then it's okay. That's more than
right. Of course, yeah.
So population control of the food supply, control of energy, everything comes back to this one particular group. This rabbit hole is we could spend years, much more intelligent people than I are poking around in this sewer. But anyway, it's just always something to pay attention to. And I think it explains a lot about what's happening to our world right now.
Absolutely. And for those of our, I would say readers, but those of our listeners and people who are watching, I implore you to check out the WEF and what they're doing. Chet, you read the mission statement earlier.
Yep.
I think that's just the icing on the cake, so to speak.
Yep. That article that I referred to, it's 2004. It's titled it's titled "The Dead Souls: The Denationalization of America's Elites." So there's a lot of good information there. Kind of explains this much
2004.
Better. Yeah, 2004.
20 years prior to this conversation.
Yep. Well, yeah, they've been around since 1971.
Right. Well, my point is, that conversation was 20 years ago. And, are you gentlemen familiar with the term Kaizen? 1 grain of sand on the beach.
Yes.
No.
Right. So Kaizen is the Asian philosophy of 1 step at a time. 1 grain of sand plus 1 grain of sand eventually will equal 1,000,000 grains of sand, and that's a beach. That's the Kaizen philosophy.
Yep.
And patience is a virtue, right?
Yeah.
So let that sink in for a minute. All right. Ren, you got anything else you want to say on this before we move on?
No, I'm good. I appreciate Chet's explanation of it. But the New World Order. I watching a black farmer on TV this morning crying about how Chinese government, Bill Gates, all these other rich entities are buying up all the farmland in the Midwest. They're trying to cut off the food supply.
Yep. This is
Yeah,
very
and control it.
So if they're not going to kill us with disease X, they're going to starve us to death.
From the inside, right? What did our forefathers say? If it is, I don't remember the exact quote, but if we are to be defeated, it will come from the inside, not from without. From within, not from without. Right?
Yeah, we gave you a republic. Now it's your job to keep it. Basically.
Say that again.
You've been given it. We gave you a republic. Now it's your job to keep it.
Right, and we're doing a horrible job of that.
Yep. Well, we are. But
right, collectively. Yeah, collectively.
I'm
right,
embarrassed.
yeah,
I know.
yeah,
I know. But all right, so let's get your blood pressure up a little bit higher. You ready?
Go ahead. Give it your best shot.
Yeah. Hey, I apologize in advance, brother. I do. Let's hit on Uvalde convening a grand jury to indict the cops. Gents, let's have at it.
I personally hope all of them are, except the one that
ran away.
No, the one that was from out of town that actually got a call from his wife, who was a teacher there. She was killed in the shooting. I'm not sure if his kid was killed in the shooting, but he was armed and he had his gun out and he was going to enter the classroom, and they actually took him into custody.
Yep.
I remember that.
So he's the only one that should get a free pass on this thing.
Yeah.
All the others should be indicted and tried and executed if the law allows. If not, jail for life. They were an embarrassment to the profession. They took an oath. Kids were calling on their cell phones, begging for help. The shooter was in the classroom for over an hour. Shots were ringing out one at a time. And it wasn't until Bortax stepped up and said, "Hey, we're fucking going in. We don't give a shit what you say."
Yep.
No, so my question is, for you two gents have way more experience being in the, being in the hot lead zone, if you will, right? Is this an SOP thing, or is this a failure to act thing, or is this just men and women with badges and guns acting irresponsibly?
All of the above.
All the above. Like,
Okay.
embarrassingly, when I was at the sheriff's department, the sheriff had a policy with active shooters. We had to go for the shooter. Now, if the shooter was holding a hostage, now if you have a group of people in a room and he's got a gun, that's a hostage situation, right? So I wasn't allowed, even if I was able to get into the room by policy, I wasn't allowed to engage that shooter because he had hostages.
As an SOP for your department.
I had to wait for a supervisor. Yeah. Yeah.
That's changed though considerably, right?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Your department. Because now pretty much the whole concept now is to go active killer like that. You go direct to threat. You don't have
you go directly for him.
Well,
The problem is,
hold on. Isn't it, if I may, from an outsider perspective, clarify this and correct me if I'm wrong, right? It's stop the killing, stop the dying, and then stop the bleeding, right?
Yep.
Generically, or across the United States, right? So stop the killing means neutralize the fucking shooter, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, look, this is a rabbit hole we're about to jump into, and I know, but stop the killing is stop the goddamn killing, right?
I happen to know one of the SWAT officers personally that was one of the first ones into the building at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas in Florida. And they said, stand down, don't go in. And he said, no, I'm taking my team and I'm going in. They were actually stepping over the bodies of dead kids.
Well, that's what they have to do, right?
Trying to get to the shooter, not realizing by the time they actually get into the building, the shooter had left.
There's no way to know that, right? Because if you're not actively trying to stop the killing, how the hell are you going to know where the fucking killer is?
Yeah.
Or who the killer is, for that matter, right?
Yeah, if you're not hearing gunshots.
The point about stepping over dead bodies.
Yeah.
Right. We covered this on one of our first episodes, right? Yeah. About active shooters and threat response.
Yeah.
The entry team, whatever the entry team you want to call them, whoever goes towards the sound of gunfire, let's call it them, has a medic or a medically trained individual, but that person, right? So that person is for that entry team.
Yeah.
It's not for, however cold this may seem to our listeners who are not indoctrinated to how this works, right? That entry team and that medic for that entry team is for the entry team only.
Yeah.
The medic and everyone else is going to walk over the dead and dying bodies to stop the killing first.
Yeah.
That is an unfortunate reality for those who never understood it, right? And it's a harder reality for that entry team and that medic walking over the dead and dying.
Yeah.
But you do what you got to do.
Right. With that being said, yes.
That's changed, though. I mean, a lot of these, it's changed because a lot of these things that are happening now. Again, direct to threat. Okay. The first is not, you don't wait for a team anymore. The first responding officer
is supposed to go in and towards the sound of gunfire. Right.
Yeah. Towards the sound of gunfire, go direct to threat, eliminate the threat.
And engage.
Everybody now is trained in self-care. That's a big issue. The team medic concept, and for a particular team, if you're functioning in a team environment, hell yeah, your medic is going to take care of you first.
Right. I mean,
but for something like this, though, it's individual officers. You get 1, 2, maybe a squad, 3 or 4 guys, patrol guys. They're going to bust in the door and go kill the stupid motherfucker that's doing all this shit. End of story. Now they're able to take care of
the shooter, so he stops killing innocents, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah, and that's the point. It's not you know. In the old days, really, you know this. We would sit around outside of something like this and wait for a supervisor to get there. Supervisor has to call the chief. Chief has to activate the SWAT team. SWAT team commander has to say, "Okay, what are we doing?" Then you have a 30-minute long briefing.
All right, we got a caller. Chet, we got a call. All right, Mr. Producer, let the caller in, please. Or
not.
Or not. Yeah, that's I love that. Or not.
Go ahead, caller.
Good morning. Are we on the air?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Good morning. I want to say this. I understand what you're talking about, and for me, from my standpoint, I do have to look at this, and of course, the thought of there, but for the grace of God, go I. I wasn't there, and it's hard for me to not pass the judgment that what we saw exhibited when this terrible thing happened was about of cowardice. But I wasn't there. Mm-hmm. I don't know who received or who gave what kind of order and why things transpired the way they were. But it's difficult for someone from out in the public to not see this as being nothing more than brazen cowardice. And if those children may have died needlessly.
Right. It's all about the whole Monday morning quarterback effect, right?
Exactly. But is there a way that this can be shown before the people that maybe this isn't what happened? And I thank you for taking the call.
Well, I think that's why they're convening the grand jury, number one. But number two, since Uvalde and since Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, a lot of departments have revamped their policies on how they're going to approach active shooters.
Yeah.
Right. But here's the other challenge. And so listen closely. And thank you for calling in. I appreciate that. I didn't get your name, but thank you for calling in. Remember 2 things, right? one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. In that, the way the media is going to present it is slanted towards whatever narrative they want to push for that agenda for that day. You could have a person showing somebody dragging somebody out, but they show them choking them, right? But the other side of that is they're dragging them out of the scene, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get it. Yeah, but
so there's two parts to that story all the time.
There is, and there always is. One of the things that bothered me the most about some of the videos I've been seeing about this lately is that one cop with his helmet on, his body armor, whatever the fuck he was doing, and walks across the hall and hits the little dispenser thing and washes and goes like this with his hands.
Yeah, I saw that.
What was that all about?
Because you want your hands clean before you pull the trigger, you fucking moron. What are you doing?
I don't get that at all. But for this, the bottom line in all of this shit is it's not that hard to do the right thing. As human beings, we know the difference between right and wrong and good and evil.
Moral compass pointing north, yes?
Exactly. And it's like my tattoo here. Never fear doing what's right. It's not, we shouldn't have to be afraid to do the right thing. But Lee, like you were just talking about, there's a media generated
slant, if you will,
narrative here with this. Yeah. So everybody has to be viewed through the lens of all that. But when the lives of children are at risk, there's only one right answer.
Engage.
Yeah. Exactly.
Engage.
I've been involved in 3 active shooter events, and all 3 have ended successfully with us taking the person into custody. Now, fortunately for me, my partner at the time was a member of the CERT team, and so we had a plan. We formulated a plan when we got word what was going down, and we executed the plan according to what we had discussed. And so for us, it ended well.
Right. So for that particular evolution, absolutely, God bless, right? That it ended the way it was supposed to end. 2 things I want to say about this is, one, the percentages of active shooters ending in self-inflicted gunshot wounds is greater than the percentages of taking the active shooter in custody.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever that plan is, I'm not going to go into that, right? But what I want to say is what a caller said, basically about Monday morning quarterbacking. We can't do that. We can only offer our opinion on what we see. And then what we see is based on, Chet, like you said earlier, is based on the narrative that they want to submit to the general public based on what their agenda is that day. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, right, law enforcement officers' moral compass is always pointing north, trying to do the right thing without fear. Now, I'm not defending these knuckleheads in the South. All I'm saying is, were they right to follow the letter of the law that they were told, or is there some sort of line you have to cross when you know it's wrong? And oh, by the way, in the military, there is, right? So there's actually, if you know that a direct order is in direct violation, you get disregard a direct order and you do it.
Yeah,
I don't know what the law enforcement community does, but in the military, we do that.
Yeah, it is. So, there's excellent policies and procedures. You can refuse a lawful order. So yeah, so that should have happened. I don't know. I don't have any excuses for any of this. It was just stupid.
There's no excuses, right? We're just talking about it. But I want to light a fire on someone's ass who's watching this and say, what would you have done? Right. And let me backstep by saying, don't you dare answer that question if you've never wore a badge and a gun and you've never been in that situation.
Right.
Then it's only hypothesis or hypothetical thought. That's it.
So in Uvalde, you got 18 or 20 dead kids and 2 teachers. So there needs to be some accountability.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying absolutely. I'm just saying don't dare make that assumption or that thought process if you never wore a badge and a gun.
If you didn't want to go in and do your job on that day, you should have just been a line cook at McDonald's.
Yeah.
You make about the same amount of money, no?
And it's a simple job. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that guy washing his hands just fired my rockets, man. That's
yeah. That was That was craziness, right? So we're gonna have to watch and see again, and hopefully, actually, this is a real good thing for us because that gives us more shit to talk about once they go to court, once they go to trial. We can talk about that. So that's another, put that down on the hey, we'll do that later kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Anything left on Uvalde before we move on?
No.
Okay. Let's talk about another super hot topic. Let's hit on the current state of affairs in Israel. Gents, let's have at it. But I want to say something I read right before we went live this morning was a Knesset member outwardly and publicly bashed Netanyahu for his approach on the give me a second. I always mess this up. It's rather than being occupiers, they're liberators, right? So this member bashed Netanyahu on his ability to withdraw and his plans for afterwards. Are they going to be occupiers or are they liberators? All right, Rennie, I can see you chomping right there.
How can you be accused of occupying what's already yours?
Yeah, good point.
That's the whole state of Israel right there.
And who exactly are you liberating? Let's say you are going to come in as liberator. There's so many issues about.
I guess we get, gentlemen. Hey, I guess we got a phone call and then 5 minutes till the next break.
Oh, okay.
No, I think that phone call was the one we had, but 5 minutes to the break.
Oh, no call. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, but how do you determine who's liberating whom here, or who needs to be liberated? Is the average Gazans? Are you liberating them from Hamas, or it seems like, well, back to our previous discussion, eliminate the threat, right? So if you want people to stop killing Gazans, then you just finish off Hamas, right? Make them cease to exist and turn them back into dust. That'll solve the problem.
Oh, no doubt. Here's the challenge. The international community is split for religious reasons, only for religious reasons, right? Again, I go back to the first time we talked about this, when the third day after it happened or the fourth day after it happened, we went live on this. If the Muslim community was so tight and so hell-bent, all pun intended, hell-bent on brotherhood, why is none of those surrounding communities from Gaza accepting any of their Muslim Brotherhood people?
Well, yeah, a lot people don't understand that it's a tribal society. Religion is a component, but it's a tribal society. You have a dozen different tribes, Sunnis, Shias, all kinds of offshoots, Kurdistan, and they just don't get along with each other. Like any tribal society, that's just the way things are. And people conflate the religion with this all the time. So that's why.
And it's never going to change either.
No.
4,000 years.
Yeah, 4,000 years that's been recorded, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I say this with as much jocularity as I can muster. It's all about the big dick syndrome, right? Mm-hmm. My dick's bigger than yours. We're doing it my way.
Yep.
Yeah. No, my dick's bigger than we're doing it my way.
Right.
It's not about it. For the most part, it's not about what's best for the people underneath them. It's what's best for the person with the gold, right? The golden rule.
Whoever has the most to gain. Whoever has the most to gain.
Yeah, exactly. And we could boil that down to everything that's going on today.
Yeah.
That's the golden rule. Who has the most to gain? It is for the most part, not about the people for the people. As I quote that, right? It's about who has the most to gain. One of the 7 deadly sins, greed and gluttony. Mm-hmm. I don't know the other 5. They're going to, I know, but those are the only 2 that fit right now.
Cause of the fall of the Roman Empire.
The fall of every empire.
And soon to be the cause of the fall of the United States.
Yeah.
Right? The Ottoman Empire. How long? They ruled for 700, 800 years?
Yeah.
They were beaten from within as well.
Yeah.
Mongols.
The Mongols. Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Genghis Khan.
Mm-hmm.
Did
Most
you
powerful
know?
military the world's ever seen.
Yeah. Did you know there's a, I think it, don't quote me for authenticity on this, but 10% of the world allegedly can be rated back to Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
He was a beast, and he was well, I guess a sexual predator, banging everything that moved. And he had the right idea, though. He had the right idea. He wanted.
Did that make him a bad guy?
What, being a sexual predator?
No, banging everything that moved.
No. He had the right idea, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to plant his seed in everything, so that it would grow across the world.
Right.
That was his
he was having fun.
Yeah, no doubt, but with a purpose.
Yeah,
with a purpose, right? Okay. Now, very quickly, let's Rennie, you and I talked about this the other day, and I know what your thoughts are on it. So, Chet, let's grab your thoughts on this real quick. What is your thoughts on Pakistan striking back at Iran?
Oh boy. Yeah, definitely. And it worked apparently. It went past the stage of the saber rattling stage and woke them up a little bit, because now they're
at the fuck you stage
and want to negotiate.
Right. Interesting, right? Rennie, what did we talk about with the nukes? Right? Rennie, I'm going to paraphrase what you said. You think Iran is nuclear capable?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Right? And we know that Pakistan is nuclear capable. So did they just take it in the ass right there and back down because they don't want a nuclear war, or what?
I don't think I'm going to be honest with you. Based on my experiences, having spent time there, I don't think the mullahs know how to wipe their ass. Of course, they don't wipe their ass. They use a garden hose. I don't think they know how to turn the garden hose on, because
all right, gents, hold on a second. Hold on. We gotta cut for a break. Hold that thought. We're at that mark right now. Hold that thought. And when we come back, let's dissect this for a little bit. All right.
Sounds good.
Mr. Producer.
No matter what you are, I will always be with you. Doesn't matter what you do, girl. Ooh, girl, want you. No matter where you go, I will always be around. Won't you tell me what you found, girl?
Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. Now, before we get back into this, let's just remind our viewers that you can always call into the show. Look at the scrolling banner below at 508-974-4231. We would love to hear from you live and discuss what opinions you folks have. All right, Chet, you were saying.
Yes. Okay, so pretty much what happened here is that Pakistan and Iran both have state-sponsored terrorist groups that decided to attack each other for some reason. Okay. So, of course, that pissed off their both home governments. And instead of this thing spiraling out of control into World War III, because they both have nuclear weapons, they pretty much cut it off at the bud, and Iran backed down, is what happened here. Let's not forget, Pakistan is not a good guy in all of this. Okay. Let's remember that they knew, our Pakistani intelligence knew exactly who and where and what Osama bin Laden was for how many years?
14, 15 years? Yeah.
And his
compound
was what?
Yeah.
Was a mile away from their training facility, and they just fucking ignored. You're going to tell me they didn't know he was there? No, of course they did. They just chose to ignore.
On the other hand,
to that note, didn't we just say basically fuck you, and we did it anyway without their permission?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Which is what we do because we're Americans.
But on the other side of the coin, Pakistan worked with us during the when the Russians were in Afghanistan.
Well, because the Mujahideen were getting their ass wiped.
Yeah,
and the Mujahideen at that time,
we funded and supplied Charlie Wilson.
Yeah,
Congressman Charlie Wilson from Texas.
Yep.
He supplied and funded the Mujahideen.
Yeah.
There's a movie out there, Charlie Wilson's War.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Pakistan did work with us for a while.
Because it
was convenient for them.
Right. It was convenient and behooved them to have our help to destroy the Russian invasion over there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, gents. One last piece before we close this out. Let's talk about some shit happening in the good old US of A. What do we have going on today? I'm going to start. Let me start by saying what I always say every episode. Prepare to self-rescue.
Yeah.
Prepare to self-rescue, right? We have some craziness going on with the politicians. Again, November is voting season where, we're starting to get into the stupidity of it all. And who knows what the fuck. I don't know if you guys have bingo boards ready. I do. I have locusts on one. I have flooding, unnatural flooding in Kansas City on another. A
dartboard.
Oh no, I have bingo, man. Bingo.
How about this one? They fund the government, okay, to keep the government running. They tacked it on a bill that was passed a duck hunting bill that was passed in 1920. The Senate did it and sent it over to the House, and the House was forced to vote on it because of the way they maneuvered it. How fucked up is that? A duck hunting bill from 1920 funds the government in 2024. How, in Christ's name, does that happen with no accountability?
I was going to say, because there's no accountability. Do you guys know Ray Dalio? Or you know who Ray Dalio is?
I've heard the name.
Ray Dalio is one of the most successful investment firms in the world. It's most successful, bigger than Hathaway, Berkshire Hathaway, right? I believe it was him. I want to say it was him. No, anyway, the quote is, you want to stop this bullshit from happening? Pass a law in Congress that says every time you don't pass or you come close to not passing this or something doesn't happen, you get kicked out. You failed. You lose. Goodbye. Watch how fast Congress corrects itself.
Constitutionally speaking, you can't do it.
Well, constitutionally, until, what did I say earlier?
Constitutional amendment, but
until it happens, right?
They don't really give a shit about the Constitution anyway, so.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I stand on that principle.
Exactly what I'm saying. Chet, I can see you brooding there.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that whole concept also. Yeah, that's a great idea. It's along with term limits. And I think Congress should have to write a personal check to the U.S. Treasury for every amount that they run over budget every year. Every member of Congress should have to start paying for their decisions.
Right, because
there is no accountability, there's no responsibility, there's nothing. if the rest of us, you know what, if we were all, well, we are all business owners, and if we walked into one of our stores and the manager was running it like the way the government's running, we'd fucking fire everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody down from the maid that does the floor, or the floor cleaners, to the CEO. But well, I know we do that by elections, is how that's supposed to work, but it never does.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Cycle the same sewers over and over again.
Right. So at what cost are we letting this happen to us? At what cost? That's a rhetorical question, right? I don't want you guys to blow a gasket on that one, but at what cost, right? And then here's the other part of this that doesn't necessarily scare me, but really hits home for me. We're letting this happen. Collectively, we're letting this happen. There are forces against us, and there are forces with us. But
well, that leads us right back to the WEF again, right?
Yeah, all right. That one.
This is not just Democrats and Republicans. It's much bigger than that.
I don't know. I just know that we're fucked.
Oh yeah,
we're heading in a downward spiral. We're fucked, and
we're still dealing with shit because we're all of a certain age. We're still dealing with shit from the same shit back in the 70s. Gas prices are going out of control. Cost of living is going up. The government's fucking with the cars and the way they're built. All this electric nonsense. Back then it was 5-mile-an-hour bumpers and all the other stupid shit they decided we had to have. They gave us the Chevette and the Pinto and
I had a 4-speed Pinto.
Yeah, me too. Like orange.
Yeah, the little egg. The only thing different from that era to now is there's no Cold War with Russia.
Yeah.
I don't
know. There's not in that sense, no. There's an under the table war. One more thing before just popped in my feeble brain. I was reading something this morning about because of a drought, the Panama Canal is like shutting down by like 40%.
Yes. Yeah.
Unless you're willing to pay them like $1 million or $1 to $2 million USD over what the going rate is for large container ships.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they're put on a priority list of things that go through the canal.
Because every time they flood the locks to move, they lose water. And so eventually they're not going to be able to use the locks anymore because there's a drought. Right. They're not getting as much rain as they used to.
What's that going to do to prices of things and the transport of goods?
One word:
service.
Inflation.
Unless it's you know what? Let's not discount the possibility that
climate control
part of the master plan.
Exactly. U.S. warships can't move from one ocean to the other easily. That's another issue. They got to go all the way around.
Yeah.
So that's just another crisis we have to worry about coming up in the future.
We should have never given up. Who gave up ownership of that? Was that Clinton?
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy
Carter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the old bastards. He needs. It's almost his time to check out anyway. But he gave up ownership of the Panama Canal. Yeah.
Yeah, not being an engineer or anything like that, but how aren't these two? Doesn't it connect two bodies of water? I mean, so how can you run out of water if you?
Well,
it's water on an ocean on one side and ocean on the other.
In theory, that's how it's supposed to work.
Because Randy, when you said that, I'm like, no, you can't run out. I'm thinking you can't run out of water in the ocean. How the fuck?
Yeah. So how does that work?
I mean, like you said, I'm not an engineer, and that's well above my pay grade. But I don't know.
I mean, unless it's intentionally controlled, a drought.
It's all about control. It's always about control.
Yeah.
Always about control. All
and
right,
it's beyond our control.
Hey, whoa! You know what? Where are you? You said it right there. You said it. It's beyond our control.
I want to hear the cowbell, Blaze. I get the cowbell for that one.
Ding, 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 ding.
We need to add the music from the Twilight Zone to our music.
Yeah.
Mr. Producer, next time, can we get that? If you have that clip, that'd be great. We'll just say Twilight and you hit it.
Yeah.
All right.
You are now entering.
Not Twilight, those stupid ass fucking teen movies with the werewolves and shit. The real Twilight Zone with Rod Sterling. Or Sterling, whatever his name was. Yeah.
Sterling, yep.
All right. Gentlemen.
Anyway.
Anything else you want to say?
No, I'm good. I'm still trying to get over my headache.
Gotcha. I gotcha. All right. Remember, preparedness is a shared responsibility. So prepare to self-rescue. Prepare to self-rescue. Don't practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong. Oh, we got a phone call. Oh, look at that. Cricket phone call. Go ahead. Last one. Let him in.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Can you hear me now? Oh, guess we lost him.
Or not? I hope you're doing well because you just got disconnected.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if he comes back in, cool. If not, Rennie, you want to take us out?
Yeah, this has been another great show sponsored by i12 Group Intelligence Analyst, Proton, Proton, POMT, Peace of Mind Training, and business partner and firearms instructor and tactical weapons instructor, Chet Babcock.
Global Elite Tactical Training.
Global Elite Tactical Training.
GETT. Or
Get. So get ready.
Get ready. God damn it.
Right. Get ready.
All right. So stay safe, stay vigilant. Until next time, this has been another episode of Situational Awareness Matters. Real talk with real people. Peace out,
Thanks
folks.
for listening.
We'll see you on the next one.
Everybody.
All right, boys.
Well, that was fun.
Rennie, you look pained.
That was good.